beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to this short video topic where I really feel called to address the subject of complete and total liberation. So as we've been moving through this eclipse gateway, which hasn't been easy for a lot of us, why? It's because when the planetary energies are changing as much as they are now and the old separation paradigm is collapsing, we're feeling all these changes. And although we are not really pioneers when we like to think of it that, we are healing the planet ourselves, and that we are here to, absorb these energies, and we're going to be the ones transmuting them, because this really, in fact, is still that separation consciousness when we think, okay, we're the ones who are going to do it. We are the ones. Because in truth, we can't really absorb things and make them our own and through this transformation, because this doesn't come from the reality of liberation, that we're already free. Things are already perfect as they are, as every ascended master already knows and believes in the absolute perfection of everything that moves. And, as Saint Germain likes to call it, moving from experience to, when we transcend those experiences, and then we have those revelations, and then we also have enlightening experiences that move us to new self-expressions, new ways of expressing our consciousness. So in truth, what's really happening, and I know for a lot of us it's never been easy, and as this eclipse gateway really opened up, we felt a lot of things. We felt a lot of things that are still in the releasing process. But here's the deal. Whenever we think of ourselves as taking on these burdens, of the collective, of the planetary shifts, we perceive ourselves so small, and that is why a lot of times we feel this helplessness, inside of us. We had this week here, they were chopping down trees in front of my building, and a part of me that was the separate self was like, oh no, and I felt so much density, and as it was, the sound of the motor chopper, and I just can't stand those, dense energies. But sometimes we, when we come from the perspective of the separate self, or sometimes feel these pain-inflicted situations, not only from ourselves, but sometimes of the others and the collective and the dramas of others even, and the experience of what others are still creating or recreating, we like to plug into it when this part of us is still feeling the need for expression, before we really illuminate it with the light of true liberation. And what is that? So in truth, we take upon these burdens, and a burdened being cannot really be of assistance. Is that right? So we need to, our spirit reminded me, shift from the perspective of constant releasing through the inflicting of the pain, and in taking it in terms of we're going to be the one solving and absorbing it, almost like the wounded healer. But the wounded healer in truth was the archetype of self-healing. You raise your vibration for the benefit of all, because you're here to show the way. You can't really help another person if you're sick yourself, for example, And this perspective has been manipulated for so long in this planetary level of existence, that we still have a bit of that, I need to help another, or this situation is lacking, something, and I'm going to be the one doing it. I'm going to absorb all of this. And sometimes this overwhelms us, and the overwhelming sense really comes from a state of fear. So this is the separate self that tells us something's wrong, and we're the ones who need to change it. But in truth, when we're just agents for change, it's transpersonal. It's not identified with we're going to be doing it as my personality self, as me, as in who I experience myself to be in this lifetime, as only this part will take all these burdens, maybe from others that I used to love, or situations, or the outside, or the neighbor community, or, everything in the collective. It really gives us the sense that we're not truly free. We can release so much and that much, and then maybe one day we will be free from, this pain, and the suffering that sometimes we don't even feel it as our own, but we feel the world is going through that. And as Ascension Pioneers, we have an innate responsibility to hold the highest amount of love and to be showing the light. The light, to show the light, means to really live that way. And that's why spirits show me, it's good, because the planetary energies are always shifting, and that's why we feel these shifts as waves. But we're no longer, it's not that it was ever needed from us, but we fell into this fragmented consciousness that thought, okay, I'm separate, so I'm going to act from separation in order to, just coexist here in this realm. But we're the ones who are showing another paradigm to this reality, which means You know, we don't transmute things. We act as an agent for spirit. We act as an agent for change without the need to, you know, take the burdens of others, take the burden of our surroundings, because for certain things, as our persona self, really, we are helpless. We can't do just everything. We can't know everything. We can't really be changing all around us. And a lot of healers who are healing others that way, they feel sick themselves. And that's why they have this painful need to heal the other, because they themselves have not yet found the sacred space of wholeness. And I know for a lot of people that might sound, wow, how, you know, we can't do this, you know, or they replace this, they confuse this with being nonchalant, you know, but being in a state of true compassion is not the same as being nonchalant. The second part of this video is the message of spirit that I would like to share with you today, which is, I've received this today, and the message is, you know, it's all well and fine. And we are Ascension Pioneers, agents of change, who are, in a way, releasing. But we release through observing what's there. We release it. We say, oh, this is happening, okay. But we need to hold the light. We need to hold the highest aspect. We see the highest perspective of what's happening, rather than taking that within ourselves and saying, okay, my persona will heal it, and I'll transmute it. A lot of times we don't know how, and we use all these different tools and techniques, and they're working only partially, of course, because the wound itself cannot heal the wound itself. Don't you understand this? It's so simple. And Spirit said today, you know, it's time for the pioneers to really know that at a certain stage of this releasing, and you know, it's fine when we say I'm in the releasing mode, or I can get up out of my bed because I feel so much, you know. And it's a true art of being for angelic souls to have such depth of feeling, such richness, because most humans don't. Let's face it, a lot of beings have really subtracted themselves from this deep feeling, and they believe they're ascending, but their emotions are still so closed off. You know, we need to first feel them in order to transcend them to a new level, to a new height, to have a new self-expression. You know, it doesn't just change on its own. I see a lot of people just automatically expecting change, you know, sitting there waiting something will happen, but it doesn't come that way. And then they're disappointed because there's all these beautiful, fancy predictions about the new. And the new is energy that shifts in every moment, and we shift with it by staying in that compassion for the energy we might feel through ourselves, for another, for the community, for the environment. But let it go. Let that need to heal go. The need to be everywhere, to help everyone, to change everything. That's just coming from our wound itself, that's not embracing the aspect of the separation that just is. That's a part of the duality that was playing out. But, you know, by staying with it, it won't shift to a new frequency level, to a new expression of ourself. So the message was, at a certain point of this, you know, saying I'm releasing, I'm an agent of release, I'm transmuting, you know, whatever you are thinking of yourself to be, just grab a hold of the awareness that on a certain point, that which you're clinging on to, and thinking, you know, maybe I'm going to have days when I'm depressed because I feel so much, or, you know, I feel for other beings and all of that. But why? You know, we're not truly masters when we can still feel a state of depressions, and when we can tune in, plug into it too deeply. It means we are giving our power away. The power is love, remember that. It means we've dropped the frequency of love so we can empathize with something. But that's the lower aspect of empathy. The true highest aspect of compassion, which is neutrality, it's observance, it's holding that highest light, and just holding the space for brothers and sisters. So Spirit said today, just trust that process. You know, have that grip, don't have it too firm, and then feel when it's your time to leap, to take that leap, to know it's enough. You know, sometimes when we're in the releasing mode, we kind of have a sense of, oh, when it's going to end? How am I going to move through this? I feel so much, or we feel density, or we feel disappointment with other human beings because they've let us down, because they didn't have the ability to be in such deep compassion or feeling state as we did. So what? They're in their own journey. Can we let that go? Can we stay in our joy, regardless of what others are maybe still experiencing? Because we really can't assist this shift forward, the Spirit is showing me, and we're going to be constantly associating with it in that level, that we drop to the degree that we can empathize. We need to have compassion rather than just this empathy we've been experiencing for eons and eons of time. It's one state, but there's so many other states we can feel and express, and we can have so much more of joy. I've seen this show a while ago, and there was this woman who was constantly doing crazy things, and she said, you know, I realized one day that I've lost I think it was a comedy show. And she said, I've lost a moment of my life by watching this movie, which was totally sucky. And she said, from that point on, I realized every single moment of my life is important. It has value. I have to be joyful. I have to do the things that, you know, I need to do. I feel that I'm going to be able to express, and I want to express. And so therefore, it's this new state that's calling us forth now. It's, are we really ready to let that go? And the third part of this message is another situation that Spirit showed me, is this need for complete liberation through knowing that we need to trust both our higher self and the human self as well. Because a lot of people are constantly hanging on and again clinging on to the guidance of the higher self, which is very ethereal. It's very beautiful when we having those first ascending moments, when we feel that kind of guidance rushing in, then we feel so exhilarated, right? And then it's time to embody. So then it's going to be slowly and gradually moving down into our body. But that means that our body is going to hold much more light. It's going to hold much more fusion with our divine self. So therefore, why should we not trust our human self as well? Because they're making a fusion, they're making a union. And so what Spirit showed me is a lot of times people are still clinging to that, you know, the spirit guidance, that higher self knowing is just knowing. It's pure knowing. It's not even it's intuition, it's beyond that. And a lot of times when we know that kind of level of guidance and when we don't feel it, we don't feel it for a reason, because Spirit is actually showing us the way of trusting our human self now. This is where we're now. This is what we're going to be developing next. Because we can't always grasp on this, okay, higher self, waiting for your guidance. When I'm in the void, I don't know what to do. I feel so lost. I'm not in my source. And so therefore, for a lot of individuals, it's hard to live their human lives that way. And they feel, okay, my human life is just my human life, but then I go and meditate, I'm in with my divine self, I feel so much better. And we're still creating this dualistic separation mode with this. We are. It's the simple fact as that. So what Spirit showed me today is really that there needs to be this fusion, divine self, human self. They're becoming one. It's a 50-50 game of partnership here. It's divine partnership. Remember, first it's occurring within our inner spirit. Then these divine reunions are going to start to take place in our physical form as well. These sacred divine partnerships that we are all, in a way, as Ascension Pioneers, holding space for. But first of all, we need to hold the space for ourselves and for the collective of who we are, brothers and sisters of light. It's so important. And if you see others still, you know, kind of like struggling, you're the one who needs to hold this space. Who else? If you've already come to this awareness, it's you're going to be asked to do it. Who else? Because you've remembered, and now it's up to you to really embody it. So this fusion, it's really important, because a lot of times when we're in that not knowing space, you know, I still have a lot of people who ask me, they write me these emails and I say, okay, I'm this person, my name is this and this is that person and that. Can you please confirm for us if we're going to be together, or if this is going to happen and that's going to happen for us? And first of all, you know, sometimes people expect for me to do miracles, that I have this magic wand, that I'm just, you know, like miraculously pointing towards someone, then I have all the answers for them. No, I don't. You know, being connected with the Spirit means I share guidance that is divine, it's universal, it's what Spirit presents for all of us as a group collective of Ascension Pioneers. Being an Ascension Guide, this is what I do. I'm not a personal coach for everybody who thinks they're going to get answers the easy way. And this is what I see in a lot of people. They feel certain pain or lack of directive or guidance, and then they can't feel safe also in this space of not knowing. So they want to have it the easy way. They want to kind of cheat along the way. And they want to have that enlightenment through another person. And I felt this in my own personal experience with relationships that came in my way. I felt there's beings, you know, they want to be in your space, but they also don't want to be, because you as an Ascension Pioneer, is in my experience, that's how it was. You show them both aspects of themselves. You show them their light and their dark side. You show them their potential, their divinity, but they also see everything that they're not yet embodying and they're expressing, and maybe things that they're lacking integrity and congruence with their true soul. And they're kind of afraid to look in the mirror, so they rather move away than to truly step up, because not everybody is in the path of truly ready to see the shadow. But it's the shadow, it's the not knowing, it's the unknown, it's all that is really taking us to that complete liberation state. So today, as you can see, I'm recording in the rain. And there's another aspect, you know, we can't always go outside only when it's sunny. You know, it's like you can't always make a move forward only when you feel completely in the knowing what to do. Sometimes we're also making the moves, you know, going blindfolded, you know, like moonwalkers. it's a part of our journey. It's to feel all aspects. It's how we're entering this new self-expression state. And we can't cheat ourselves through that, kind of hope another will give us the answer. Kind of hope, we're going to be ascending through them. So they're just like, give them a hand, then you pull me forward. You just reach a hand because you're showing the potential, but every single one of us needs to walk through our own rite of passage. It's how it is. And I see a lot of times, especially people who don't want to see their shadow, they only want to see the light. They always want to have it the easy way. But it doesn't go this way. Ascension is clarity, true devotion, and it's commitment to truth on all levels. It's that essence of complete and utter truth of creation. Not just what we personally think and would like. I experience also many times, individuals who say, oh, I want to help you with this, I want to do this, and they have so much in their minds what they want to, but then you say, okay, then what you're really gonna, now it's time, okay, show me. And then they're gone, poof, magic dragon, you look around, oh, no one's here anymore, wow. It's how it is when we're lacking that sense of true embodiment. And you're, making things real as well. So now a lot of us are in this state where, we've mastered that higher self. We know how it speaks, we know how spirit speaks to us. But are we now willing to master embracing the complete nature of our humanness? A lot of times, I still see people are thinking the human emotions are bad and they're afraid to feel deeply, but it's the depth of feeling that's actually coming from deep below, and it's awakening us through the sacred alchemy of the soul. It's actually the true soul alchemy that happens, that enriching of the soul that masters were talking about. It means turning the basic elements into gold, and it happens through complete liberation, which means trusting all aspects of life. And, knowing that you're free, even when you can't hear always the voice of spirit completely. And, which master is with you and when, and, what guidance you're receiving. I know for a lot of us who work with oracles even, oracle cards, tarot cards, whatever, I take them in a very playful way. I don't take them as the ultimate, because I know cards are showing me my current energy expression and how I might feel at this moment. Even the next minute it might change. But the thing is that a lot of times we're dependent on what the pendulum would say, what the cards would say, what a certain other person would say. That's not true liberation, because we're not still trusting our human feelings. The human is no separate from the divine. The human was created through the divine. It's just that the absence of knowing this has made the human consciousness separate. But we're moving through this separation now, and Ascension Pioneers are moving through this, and we're showing to humanity that it's good to be divine and human at the same time. This is not this new age thinking we're only divine beings. The vessel of this human form is not important. Of course it is. We were created for a reason, and to honor that creation and to know how we can really utilize it in a most beautiful, enriching form to evolve the life in creation through our soul experiences and expressions, then we know why we're here, and we're really learning to trust every part of the path. The known, the unknown, the magic and the mystery. I see a lot of people, they want the magic. They love it when things are magical. They love it. And then something challenging comes along. Ooh, I don't feel this anymore. This is not within the light. And then they walk away. Well, wait a minute. That's complete negation of both aspects of polarity. So instead of creating fusion and union, what they're creating is walking away from being confronted with both sides of the same coin, actually. So when we do that, we're not really mature in our soul. And I've met with a lot of people who can't even have a deeply fulfilling emotional conversation. You might express your feelings, and instead of, responding back to you through just observing what's in the moment, they will walk away or stop responding to it, or sometimes they don't even acknowledge what you're saying. I have this experience sometimes when you say to someone, they ask you a question, they say, why did you do this? And you say, well, because of this and that, and you explain to them, and they still don't accept the answer because they're making it personal and they want to change it. Yeah, but no. You had this experience yourself. It's control, and a lot of times it's very subtle, but it still has a very tight grip on us. It's when we don't like the answers that others give us because we have a projection within us that kind of feels maybe it's something else. We don't trust another what they're saying, even if they're lying. That's their own problem. That's their own expression. But can we trust that what they give us in that moment, it's what they're giving us? We can't control them. You know, we can't say, yeah, you gave me this answer, but what if it's this? But what if I'm going to maybe transform it into something else? That's not really living through liberation for yourself and others. There's so much control still present in our reality, and I can see it when I have these interactions with other human beings. It's because there's still this fragmented, dualistic approach to who we are. You know, and we're saying, wow, I'm developing my divine self, so my human is a bit confused. No, you're actually developing your human self. That's why your human self needs to be humble and modest and withdrawn a bit. So, you know, this higher perspective can flow through it, but then not in a separate way, but fuse with it, merge with it completely. And that's why I went outside in the rain. You know, I don't say, okay, today it's rainy, so I don't go out. I go out when I feel like it. I'm a liberated being. When I feel, I go. You know, so it's time for us to stop conditioning ourselves and say, I'm going to trust myself only when I'm going to give a completely knowing answer. Maybe sometimes that's why we never make a move forward. It's, if there's a deep innate calling, then their calling's there for a reason, but then we say, no, but I want to have all facts checked and clear and this and that. And it's never going to work for us this way because we're only relying on one part of us, but we're never really fully going to embrace our humanness. We're never going to make it for what it is. And there's a beautiful explanation of this as an energetic dynamic in the book, The Prism of Lyra from Lisa Royale. And in the book you have these perspectives from different galactic races and what they've been moving through and the energetic dynamics that they're teaching us through that, through their own experiences. So I really recommend that. It's a short book. Very affordable. I recommend it to all of you pioneers if of course you haven't read it already, because it's a very old book, but I've just read it this year. So it's very important for us to understand these dynamics, because a lot of times I see people are only willing to give a little in response to what they really want. So let's say the desires are big, the expectations are big, but it's a very tiny amount of how much they're willing to do to match up with that. And it's because they're only seeing one aspect of the whole story. And they're thinking, wow, you know, I'm just responding to the reality. I just met someone who, basically when I saw them from a neutral space, I saw they're just responding to reality, but they're never saying, I want this. Or they're making conscious invitation out there. They were just more the responder. And what we're doing now as pioneers, we need to be co-creators. We're not here to just respond to situations. Of course, certain things are the way they are. We have no other choice but to respond to them. But not only that, we're here to write our own stories. We're here to be uplifted, to say, am I only going to spend my life in responding to everything, you know, through this space of, yeah, it's fine. Do we only want to be fine? Or do we want to be good? Or do we want to be great and joyful and really who we're supposed to be? And stop hoping for the heaven to appear maybe on the other side when we, you know, we make that passageway. It's not going to be that way for us. If we don't learn to embrace the heaven right here and now, then the heaven experience we're going to have through the passing into whatever kind of reality we will pass through at our own passing, it's not going to, you know, match those expectations. It will just reflect to us what we've felt right here and now. You know, that's why a lot of spirits who never thought there was anything else, when they die, they're still clinging on to this reality, and they become energetic entities that, you know, they're having that grip because they never believe there's anything else. So how can they move into that higher vibrational space? So everything that we desire, that we believe in, that we trust in, we need to have the ability to match up with. So this is that true liberation in conscious co-creation. And knowing, okay, we are constantly releasing, but the true releasing is in releasing aspects of ourselves that are not authentic. We're not releasing pain from someone else, or pain from, you know, this tree that died, or whatever it is. We will create so much pain from this, because we have to learn that every being is sovereign. They make their own choices, even when we don't always see them. They're still there, they're playing out, and we are not responsible for all the collective, for all the feelings. And the last thing I want to add here is, you know, when you don't hear the voice of your guides and masters, what if that, can I ask you something here, what if that is actually a good thing? Because it means that you've mastered yourself so much that you've on this way when masters are stepping aside and pointing you towards your true I am, your source of all truth and all that is powerful. And they're one with you. They're not a master governing you. They're sharing this space of the I am presence with you. And you are, when you have that guidance, you are your own voice. And that's why sometimes you feel you don't have the same aspects of being so totally infatuated with your guidance that you maybe had years ago. It's how it was for me. It was years ago when I had this, wow, so much pouring through, when the crown was, starting to open so much. But then I started to enter this reality through actual embodiment, through descending and ascending both at the same time. And I explain this ascension-descension process in one of my mastery courses on self-empowerment and ascension. But there's also a new class that's out there for those of you who really feel your call to make a step forward to this greater group consciousness, which doesn't come in through the aspects that I've been talking about here now, but through these higher aspects and working in unison on greater group levels. So you're ready to really, if you're ready to do that, you can be called to that course, if it calls you, of course. And then the last thing I want to mention is there is the third spirit guidance message already recorded on my spirit attunements on my Serapina Light webpage. These are Holy Spirit messages that are infused with the light of grace, that Spirit just speaks through me. We are just vessels for that light. And then there's also celestial attunements with it. So this one is on divine guidance. And this is exactly what I'm talking about this in video, to be truly liberated to live our guidance. Because there's a whole rewiring taking place within our cellular structure. That's this cellular reprogramming. It's not even a programming. It's like total deprogramming and total liberation. But it feels like aspects of us are still fully not ready for that. And they're still like, clinging on to that. And I want to say also that not everybody is yet hearing the voice of their higher self, because they're maybe still at the level of opening up. Each one of us is on a different level, but I'm talking this to you who are the first ascension wave, who've been going through these rites of passage, who now feel that you're more like just you, and your guidance and your thoughts, it's always been you. It's more in terms of you being the representation of what's channeled through you. It's no longer, this is old energy, these channelings of other beings and plugging into different realities. Now we're merged with these realities. Now we're fused. We're in unison with them. So we can be the voice of spirit in our own way. So this is the new energy format. And for those of you who really feel called to this, I know that in the future times to come, I'll be utilizing that kind of work, because I was already born this way. For me, it was always this way. It's just me, I am, my sovereignty, and I've never had an actual channeling of other beings. But everything that was offered through me was the levels where I already exist within and assist through. So this is the new prototype, and that's why we need to first release this grip on these old structures so we can move into this new liberated state. When we just become this channel, it's completely free, we're joyful, we're self-expressive in this way that's truly divine and human both at the same time. And this is true unity. We've all been longing for this union, and a lot of people are still thinking it's going to come through another person. Well, yeah, maybe after you had it within yourself, but that true union is the union of our divine self and our human self, and creating this unity that we don't think we need to go somewhere to be again one with God. We long to go be with God, but what if that God self, that God spark, has the ability to descend into us as we embrace this truth? This locked interplaying of integrated polarity, to be once again the zero spot, the 0 point where we truly exist beyond anything that we think and imagine ourselves to be. Can we be in that space? Can we enter it? Well, these are the questions we're going to be starting to ask ourselves now at this point. A lot of you might feel that. If you feel, like I've said, the sense of not receiving guidance the same way you used to, that's a good thing, because especially if you were a channeler of some sorts, okay? Because this is a new thing. You're being upgraded to this new format, which is you are the conscious vessel for spirit. You don't need to channel another being. Integrate it. You can merge with any essence at any time. You don't need to move into a trance state, because the light of source is embodying itself within you, through you, as you. So can we walk in this true liberated sense, even when we think there's no master beside us? They always are, because they're in unison with us. But when we can't feel it, but can we still be liberated to take the leap, to trust, to have every aspect of life as one, to hold it sacred as it is? That's the next question to be really ask now, the answers will come in divine timing. They will come, of course, through actual embodiment, through grace. As always, so much love, wisdom, and power. Do check out my new mastery course if you're so called. And again, I also invite you to take a look through these spirit attunements if you feel called to have that higher perspective, because this is what it's all about. Until next time, thank you for supporting, thank you for subscribing, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.